Good afternoon, everybody. Well, afternoon here where I'm at in hazy Chicago. It's cooling off. The fall is kicking in. And I know we've got people dialing in from all over the world. For a few people, it's early morning. For a few people, it's late at night. But I wanted to say thank you all for jumping online. There's a great little feature in here where you're able to ask questions and suggest topics. I've got 3 questions in here so far. So I'm going to talk about these. I'm going to give people a moment to trickle in as well. And then we're going to talk over some of the new things that are being released right now. We're going to kick off the chat. Hello from the UK, Andy. We're going to kick off the chat and try to get through as much as we can. But first of all, I hope it's going well. If you're, I can't stress this enough. If you're online and you're confused at all, if you're stuck on anything, reach out to me. One of the things we added this week, on the left-hand side of the screen, on the main navigation, there is a support link where you can access the videos that explain how to use various features, the how-to documents, that some of the documentation for the system as well. Definitely check those out. Also, if you run into any issue, you can create a support ticket, and that will give you the opportunity to send something directly either to me or to some of the support staff who are on the team now. I guess that's one big announcement that I wanted to tell you about. We are expanding. So I've just hired another developer and support assistant here in the United States. So we're going to be working together. I've got a very, very ambitious list of features and new things I want to bring out that are just unbelievably cool. That if a lot of people are already expressing how happy they are. Wait till you see what's coming right around the corner. We've got new stuff coming out every day, every week, and it's really exciting to have everybody together. Just going through these topics real quick. So a couple things that have come up. I've got some topics here. I'm going to start all the way at the bottom. One of the first questions here, can I change field titles instead of gig date closed, phone date closed, things like that? Well, date closed is actually a kind of an internal reference. I think that's one of the merge tokens. You can't actually change a merge token, but you can change all of the text in the system. It's very easy to customize. Let me jump onto a little screen share, and I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like if you want to customize your Mago to bring in some customizations here. Let's see. Oh. All right, let's see. Can I do that? Can I click screen share? I'm going to pick an application window right here. Perfect. Can you see this? Can everybody see this okay? And by the way, just while we're loading up, Karina, let's see, Henrik, Tara, Greg, Richard, Jerry, Barry, Sonny. Yes, welcome everybody. Thank you all for, yes, we do have people from all over the world. All right, I'm going to jump over to this screen here. I'm going to show you exactly what this looks like. So a lot of these tools to kind of customize things are available right here on this top right menu, kind of the profile customization menu. This is where you can access your own user profile, your business profile, and the third one here, edit system labels. Just as a word of caution, I might rename that because I don't think that's a perfectly clear name. But right now, that's the label there, edit system labels, and all of the field labels are actually grouped. So we have field labels relating to automation, field labels related to your business, to your calendar, to your company, to company records, gig records, etc. So you have all of these fields here kind of matched in the name value pair. So you're able to go in and rename them if you wish. Also, one of the things that's coming very soon, probably with any luck before the end of the year, is we're using the same the same ability to rename fields to begin offering everything in native languages of all of our users. So we support something like 25 different currencies right now, and we want to be able to do the same with languages, not only internal facing pages, but external facing pages as well. So watch for that coming down the pipeline. But if you wanted to rename a field, simply do so here. If we wanted to call this, instead of address street, address 1, that's perfectly fine to do. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave that default. But one thing you can take advantage while you're in here and renaming fields is you have all these custom fields that have been created where you can kind of put whatever you want in there. Some people who are familiar with Barry Friedman's Showbiz Blueprint will know what I'm talking about, but I actually use these custom fields for creating Barry's CVIs. So I store some of that information there, video links and proposal download links and things like that. But these are here for your use. So if you want to use one of these, go in here and name it whatever you want. Let's name it, maybe we'll call this event theme. And you can kind of enter things you want in there. So this is one way to go in and begin customizing these things. I'm going to jump back to the chat here for a moment. Was there a way to do this? Full screen share. Is that? There we go. Is that better, Henrik? I'm just going to wait 1 second. Okay, I brand new webinar platform for me, so I'm still learning some of the things. But hey, it was a success. We started on time and we were all in the same place, so I'm going to count that as a win. So anyway, in here, edit system labels. This is where you're able to go in and customize what the field names are in the system. Now, this won't affect the merge templates. So if you have a let me jump back to this screen. If you have a merge field that is, we'll just say contact first name. In the merge field, that might be contact underscore first underscore name. If I change this here, the merge token itself isn't going to change, but what you see on the screen will. I want to point that out. And one other thing while you're in here, there's one piece I think that's a little bit out of date, which is probably going to go away, and it's this localization where you've got currency, date format, and currency symbol. This actually doesn't do anything anymore. This is kind of a hangover from before this system changed. If you use a different currency, go to My Business on the top right menu here. Go down to My Business, click the pencil icon to edit the record, and scroll down. You have your currencies available, and you also have your units. In other words, it says imperial or metric, but realistically, this is miles or kilometers. So if you're in the UK, if you're in Canada, if you're in most of the let's be honest, the civilized world, then you're on metric. But here in America, we'll hold on to our inches and yards. But this will give you your distances to the gig in kilometers instead of miles, if you prefer. Also, in terms of your currencies, you can manage these here. So if you change your currency to pounds, in the corner here, this will turn from $1 into a pound. One more important thing to note, let me switch this back to the United States dollar before I forget. One more important thing to note, in your email templates, it's not actually pulling in the currency anywhere. So if you do use a different currency symbol, currency icon, let me just find an example. You will want to go in and edit your template. Let's see. Got a little ahead of myself. You won't want to go in and edit your template. And so where you have this double $ here, the first one is your currency, the second one is part of the merge token. Just change that to, whatever your currency is there. So if you use yen or euros, sorry, you can put that in there, and then this will merge in the field itself. So let me see. Let me jump back to the chat. All right. Oh, I hit the wrong button here. So let me go back to the answer here. I accidentally hit the wrong. First week using Mago is great. I can see how this is going to be a game change for me. Have a new gig come in, pick a quote, and pay with minimal interaction. Ryan, that is awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. Question is, where do we find the link to the calendar feed to import gigs to Google Calendar? Also, is there a way to add unrelated events to the Google Calendar? So I'll answer those in two parts. And I unfortunately clicked the button here. I can't mark that I'm answering this again. So I'll answer this in two parts. This is covered in the support section here, but I'll just cover it right now. Going back in the top right menu here to My Profile, you get a few things here. There's two calendar feeds. I'm just going to zoom in to make this really easy for people to see, especially if they're on low bandwidth. There's a lead calendar feed and a gig calendar feed. This lead feed will actually export all of the unbooked events that you have, your leads, everything that's on the active leads on your dashboard. And if you want those to be in your other calendars, for example, your Google Calendar, your iPhone or Android calendar, or your Outlook calendar, whatever you use, you can just take this link. And one option is to copy it, but and paste it in the Google Calendar when you subscribe to a URL. The other option, if it's a calendar on your device, if it's an iPhone or an Android, or if you use the calendar app on a Mac or Outlook on Windows, all you really have to do is click or tap on these links, and it actually opens it up with your default calendar app. The first calendar feed here is your leads. It's a separate feed because it's optional. Some people want to see both what confirmed gigs they have and what inquiries they have on a given date when they talk to somebody, if they want to pull that up very quickly. Other people only really care about their bookings. So you can use one, the other, or both. The gig calendar feed is all of your actual bookings. So these are your booked events. And again, I've got specific directions in the help section under the tutorials for how to get this into Google. A few points that are just worth talking about that you might run into while you're looking at this. If you open one of these on a Mac, it's going to ask you if you want to launch the application, and it's going to prompt you to add that to your calendar. When you do, and I'm not sure I don't think you can see this now because it's in a different app. When you click subscribe, it's going to ask you a question about it. It's going to ask you how frequently you want that calendar to update. Set that to 1 hour or 4 hours, something like that. By default, it says never, which means that when you update in Mago, it never checks for updates. So you want that to check on a cycle. The other thing, Google Calendar can take 12 to 24 hours to process updates, and that's a limitation on their end. If you look online, a lot of people go online and complain about it. They say, how long does this take? And they say, Google's official position is, well, you're getting this for free, so you get what you get. But there is a delay on updates. These calendar feeds are updated in real time, which means as soon as you book a gig or close a lead out or anything like that, it's instantly in the feed. But the calendar apps, they check for updates on a schedule. So just bear that in mind. The other question we have in here, let me just switch back to the Webinar Ninja. I'll switch back over to my smiling face. The other question we have in here, is there a way to kind of block out events? Not quite yet, but we've had a few questions around that, a few requests around that. So that's something that's coming very soon. And now that we have a brand new developer on the team who's going to be building a lot of these things as well, that I can focus on some bigger picture features and a lot of these smaller things that would just add a ton of value, but would otherwise just forever get prioritized below some of these bigger things. We can start rolling these out faster and faster. So that's definitely on the way. Let's see, what else do we have? The next one I have here is some suggestions or inspirations for sequences. What content and setup for corporate bookings that I've got this year to sustain the relationship through the year. So this is from Andy in the UK. Let's talk a little bit about that. There are a few sample routines. Let me switch back to Mago here. there are a few sample routines that are already in here. But the key things you really want to cover in all of your routine, all of the automation, is the lead nurturing aspect of things. So if I drop into the automation and we look at one of the sample items here, we've got a standard sales process for close-up magic. Close-up magic, you replace this with whatever kind of performance you do. But if we look at some of the basic steps, in here we're doing some follow-ups. At the core, at the basic, if you're, as far as the sales process goes, send your sales letter, send a follow-up the next day, send a follow-up 7 days. If you want, if you have that ability, in your automation, add a step to schedule a phone call just to reach out to them if you're still waiting. And maybe schedule that for 3 or 4 days after the routine is run, so we can save that. And then 4 days we have to schedule a phone call after 7 days. The main thing there as well is when these don't book, I have this at least one email template to reprospect in to say. And all these are sample templates that we've already given. The 1 day follow up is right here. Hi again. Just want to touch base, make sure. And I'll show you some of mine here as well. That's the 7 day follow up. Again, this is the sample. You're welcome to go in here and edit any of this language by editing the templates under the automation. This 10-month follow up is a pretty simple email that reaches out and says, hey, we talked last year. It didn't work out. What are you doing this year? And if you just start doing that, you're gonna get huge changes in there. But you're gonna surprise yourself with the people who say, yes, I want to book. Some other things on the sales side that you might want to do, just as a classy thing to do, would be to reach out on the day of the event, or maybe the day before, the day after the event, and just check in. Just check in and say, hey, I know your event's coming up. Sorry it didn't work out between us, but I really hope everything goes well. Wish you all the best. Just check in and say you're thinking of them. Another thing that I do a lot, which isn't really covered in any of the samples here. Let me jump back to Mago. Not just related to gigs and leads, but when somebody gives you their business card. When somebody gives you their business card, don't just put it in the pile or in the shoebox with all the other ones. Actually create an automation routine to reach out and thank them. So let me show you what this might look like. We'll just kind of create one on the fly here. I'm going to jump back to the routines. I'm going to create. I'm going to say this. We'll call this a business. I can spell business card. Business card entry. Automation target, we'll call that leads. I'll use the default email address. Obviously, you can change this if you want to, if you have different brandings for different services you offer. So trulymagic.com is my main kind of corporate general site. But when I used to do birthday parties, I had best party ever, so I could use bookings at best party ever or something like that. But I'll use my default. But we're going to create a routine. We're going to call it business card from people I met at an event. So the first thing I'll probably want to do is send an email. Send it out. What'll happen, I'll come home from a show. I've got that stack of business cards, because every time somebody asks for your business card, you absolutely need to be asking for theirs as well. Because, why are you going to leave this up to chance? Why are you going to roll the dice that somebody's going to lose it or forget it? Reach out to them as well. Don't wait for the phone to ring. Make the phone ring. That's kind of the idea. Get their business card as well. Not to harass them, but just one. It's a classy thing to do anyway. Somebody asks for yours, ask for theirs. It's just a classy thing to do. But beyond that, this puts you in control of the relationship now. You're not going to wait until 2 or 3 years pass and be like, we really need that great entertainer like we had at that other event. What was their name? I had their business card somewhere, and your business card now is in a big shoebox full of 1,000 other business cards. No, you want to build that relationship. You have that seed of a relationship. This is your opportunity to build it. I don't think there are any sample templates around this. So when you're going through this step, if you want to create a template, simply click the plus, and we're going to I'm going to call this a business card. Nice to meet you. Great meeting you. And I'll just grab that contact fields, first name. I'm just going to grab that, put that right up here, exclamation mark. Hey, contact first name. It was great meeting you at, and then this is where we could pull in one of these custom fields, or you could just simply keep it a little more generic. It was great meeting you yesterday, or the other day, or however you want to word this. Just put some, put a basic a paragraph. Really nice meeting you. I like to personalize these, really kind of netting one. When somebody gives you their business card, actually take a moment and write something down on the card, some detail. In fact, I have a business card right here in my wallet. I was at a show last week, and I met a guy on the elevator. I had 4 decks of cards in my hands. I was walking to the ballroom to give a keynote at a conference, and he's like, "Oh, you've got a lot of cards." I said, "Yeah." I told him I was a magician, and I did something very quickly on the elevator. We got talking. He says, "Well, here's my card. Give me a call." He wants to bring me in for a New Year's thing in Canada. So I made a note that in our brief conversation, he was in Chicago to watch the Notre Dame game. And he loves Notre Dame so much so that his dog is named Rudy. So I just put a few notes on there that we met, did a card trick in the elevator, loves Notre Dame, dog's name is Rudy. And then when I went in here, I entered the business card in and fired this off, and I put that note in there. So you can either use a merge field for this, or you can just you can customize this as it goes out. So maybe we'll put we'll put a space here for anything that we want to add. Look forward to seeing you again. All the best, Michael Carducci. And if you like to kind of make these fancy, you can insert whatever images you want in here using the insert image toolbar. So I have my signature file I can insert in there, and maybe I want to insert a letterhead. So right here again in the toolbar, insert edit image, clicking this magnifying glass folder takes me to your cloud storage. This is where all the images and documents and other files that you use live. You can upload these. These are ones I've already uploaded. Maybe I'll change my font. Make this look really polished, and send this on its way. Now, I can create a whole sequence of these. So I might reach out once, and then I might reach out a few days later and say, "Oh, I was just thinking about the event we were at. Again, it was really great to meet you." I might send a YouTube video. I've got some magic tricks that I've recorded, put on YouTube, saying, "Hey, you really like that one trick. I thought you'd get a kick out of this." Just reach out a couple times over the year. I'll send maybe 3 or 4 emails and put these together. There's a little trick here that I want to talk about too. Now, obviously, I can just leave the schedule at 0 and run it 0 days after the routine is run and just let that happen. Or I can increase this up to 1, click next, save, and put this in here and maybe have several other events. But when I go and enter in that business card, which might be just as simple as going and creating a new contact, enter that business card. So we'll just call this elevator dude. Maybe I have his company information, maybe I don't. Maybe he works for somebody I already have a relationship with. I can pull that in. Notes, we met at such and such event. All my little notes here. I'll take their email, their phone number, everything that's on the business card. So I save that. And let me click on this link here to jump into my elevator dude. So I save that, and I go to run an automation. I clicked on that little pop-up in the corner. That gives me a quick link to go and view the record that I just created. I click automate, and here's my business card entry. I can always preview it. not only see what the steps are, but preview the actual message that's going to send as well. So you can see the first name I put for elevator dude is elevator. So it actually pulls in their name. I can see exactly what this looks like. And so I can say, okay, I like this. I'm going to click here, run this. Yes, run one routine. And that's going to go off, do the processing. This will disappear, and under the scheduled actions, there it is. So I've got this set to go out tomorrow. Why did I do that? Because putting that little delay gives me the opportunity to either, if I want to leave it exactly as it is, I can walk away and do nothing now. Or here in the corner, I can just click this pencil icon and edit the generated email. Maybe I want to say, hope the game was a success and you had a safe trip home. Now I can personalize this message, and if everything is good, I'm going to click the Now button to change that to go out now, and now that's ready to go, and I can do that with all the emails in the chain. One other way to do this, if either you're brand new to the system and you want to just look at things before they go out, yes, you can go in and preview the actual email templates in the automation menu, but one other option, if you want to go in there and tweak them from time to time, in your profile, there is an option to delay automation by 30 minutes. You can turn this on, and this will put a 30-minute clock on all the immediate actions. So it processes, it's there in the corner, and then you can review it, you can tweak it, and then walk away or click Now to send it. One other thing in terms of the one other kind of piece of inspiration in terms of the routines, we've got two there for sales. One for sales, your general kind of sales follow-up process. One for when you meet somebody at an event. I actually do the same thing when I go to a trade show as an exhibitor. So I do a lot of, thank you, Richard. Fortunately, he's not going to see that, so this will be all right. I do this when I exhibit. I do a lot of corporate events, and so one of the things I'll do is I'll get a booth at IAAP, the International Association of Administrative Professionals, who are usually the people who kind of get lumbered with the details of organizing the party and finding entertainment and things like that. So I found these are great people to connect with. So I go to the IAAP chapter meetings. I get a booth, and I just do magic for people. I do a so I'm reading all the discussion over here. So I do these, and I do some kind of giveaway. One of the simplest thing I do as a giveaway is I have a cash drawing, and I don't talk about how much cash it is. We do a drawing at the end after the breakfast, and they'll announce the winner. The winner will come up. I said, "It's a cash drawing. Here it is," and I'll pull out $1 or $5 or something like that. And I'll say $5, $1, $2, $3, $4, $5. No, okay, and then I'll do like extreme burn or a bill switch or something, and give that away. But that's how I get everybody's details. And then afterwards, I go and enter these in, and for each one of those, I run a routine. So if I jump into, I'm going to log into my system here for a moment. And we're going to jump to the routines. I think I have one here for IAAP, yeah. So I send out a nice to meet you. The first one, hi contact. I want to drop you a quick note to say hi. I really appreciate you stopping by my booth last week at the IAAP breakfast. Hope you enjoyed. Here's my website. Here's my phone number. Have a great weekend. So I send that out, and then 35 days later, I send a video. I time these so it'll go out on a Friday, but so basically Friday afternoon they're going to get. It says, "Hey, it's Friday. I hope this email finds you well, and they're not working you too hard. We met a couple months ago at the IAAP breakfast. Right now, I'm gearing up for a show this weekend. We want to send you a quick video clip of a magic performance or some Friday entertainment, and help you get a few minutes closer to the weekend." And then I put a YouTube video in there, and P.S. Let me know if you have any events coming up that you'd like a quote for. The fastest response always comes from my web form. So I put that in there, and then after 70 days, I sent another one. This is the subject is whoops, which is a great little. This tends to get it piques people's curiosity. Just a quick note: say hi. I thought you'd get a kick out of this when magic goes wrong. This is the iconic David Williamson Murray video where the kid instantly busts him on his gaffed card. It's a cute little video, and people like that. And then after 135 days, I'll send one out saying it's that time of the year again, and I send out a full-on sales letter for, you know, kind of in this particular case, angling for their Christmas party. And so this is kind of one example of that. I'm going to switch back into my dev environment. On the booking side of things, certainly, you know, your goal is to make your, why am I back in here? What am I doing? You're on the booking side of things, use the automation to create a great customer service experience. And let me tell you what I mean by that. You don't ever want your customer to be worrying about you. You don't ever want the phone to ring 2-3 days before an event, or on the day of the event, or an hour before you're getting there with a panicked client saying, you're still coming, right? We haven't heard anything. People panic about these things. You know, in our little world, yeah, it's on my calendar. I'm going to be there. I'm going to leave early. We all know these things, but they don't. And the truth is, they've probably been burned in the past. In fact, a lot of people that I work with have been burned in the past. I had a long conversation with somebody who was really worried that they were going to book me and I was going to send some kid and then go do a higher dollar event. I said, look, no, I understand. If you book me, you book me because you want me, not because you just want a magician. And so I explained that I think, you know, one time or two times in 20 years have I ever replaced myself. No, once I was in a car accident, and I paid for the entertainment. And the other time, I got snowed in. All the roads were closed. I even left a day early, and the roads are closed for 36 hours. And I had to get somebody to come in another state. And again, took care of everything. But not everybody works the way that we work. So certainly send out your confirmation. You send out your invoice, you send out your contract, and you use that just to kind of keep yourself organized in that way. And now you're automating your contract, so you don't have to go and create a new one, copy and paste, and go make all the changes and send this out, and then they print it and scan it. No, one click, there it is. They can e-sign, you're done. They can pay online. Obviously, you've got all that. You've got the invoices. Maybe you send a W-9 or whatever the paperwork you send in other countries are. But beyond that, I'm drawing of cash. Sorry, I just saw that. No, but beyond that, send a check-in email a couple days before saying, "Hey, look, we're all set. If you have any questions, this is my cell. This is I'm going to arrive at this time. Put these things in the email." Mary has a lot of really good ideas for this, and if you really, really want some huge inspiration, I highly recommend signing up for the Showbiz Blueprint, because Barry actually gives you a lot of these sequences and says, look, this is how you should be booking your show. And so I want to be careful not to kind of give away any of his stuff. But the things that I've been doing for years, definitely sending in a confirmation, definitely sending out some other information, to get people excited. Like, thought you'd get a kick out of this. Here's a YouTube video from my last show. That check-in before the event, 3-5 days before the event, saying, look, I just want to reconfirm all the details. We're good to go. If you need anything, this is my cell number. And then never again will your clients be calling you up in a mild state of panic because they haven't heard anything yet. Because and the beautiful thing is they're happy and you haven't done. You're giving a more professional service without doing any additional work. All right, I'm gonna close this off and jump on to the next one. We're already half an hour into it, and I don't want to keep everybody too long. Next question, can you fire off an email from within the lead instead of the list of leads on the right-hand side? Al, are you on the call? Oh, okay, great. I'm going to ask for a follow-up, but I just wanted to call this out. Jerry, by the way, Jerry wrote an incredible book about. Remind me the title. It was booking yourself. it was a while back, but I actually, this is kind of cool because I actually, I believe I read it at one point. It was more how to be your own booking agent. Thank you. And a lot of it, you know, how to book tours, how to do a lot of stuff. So Jerry has a wealth of experience, and she just said, as a former booking agent, I would time a sequence to get the contacts for a PR person, a sound person, a tech person, and then schedule 6 weeks out, 4 weeks out, 2 weeks out, and week of. That's gold right there. And you know, for two reasons. One, don't show up and all of a sudden you're saying, oh, where's my sound contact? Where's my tech contact? What do I do? You want to be that person. You're the ball, and that alone says that you're that you just shows them how professional you really are. It's one of these things that when you say, hey, I just want to reach out. Do you have a tech, you know, a site contact, a tech contact for the venue, the sound person, tech person? Ask about the PR person for the event, things like that. Asking these questions, you're like, wow, this person is on the ball. I'm so glad we paid we shelled out for a professional instead of a teenager. So, you know, certainly great stuff there. Going into this next question though, so I apologize, Al. So you mean sending an email from? Let me just look at this. Can you send an email? Can you fire off an email from within the lead instead of the list of leads on the right-hand side? When you say the list of leads, from within the lead screen, okay, yes. So let me just jump into a lead. I'm gonna pick this. I'm gonna convert this back into a lead. So we're back onto there. Going into here, if you're in here, certainly. All right, let's pick this. This is. I don't think this has anybody's email address in it. Yes. So when you're in the lead, there's a couple options. So obviously, this action menu is for the lead itself. Because you can have more than one contact menu, there are action menus associated with you know, with your primary and your secondary contacts. So clicking this little speech balloon here brings up the compose and phone call menu here. The action menu for the primary contact brings up the phone call and the email here if I want to compose an email. Or anywhere in the system, if you see an email address, click on it and you get the compose window. So all of these ways will work. And one of the cool things about the system as well is it's always kind of aware of where you are within the system. So if I'm inside of the lead and I compose an email, it's not only going to send that email, it's going to associate it to that lead. It knows, okay, this email relates to this lead that you're looking at that time. So you don't have to go through and say, you don't have to go through and create these relationships. But certainly that's 2 or 3 ways to send an email to a lead from within the lead screen. Oh, I apologize. I keep forgetting to do that. Thank you. Right, got that. Sorry. Do you want me to go over that again? I'll just briefly touch on the contact points here. So when you're looking at the primary contact, you obviously you have the action menu for the contact itself. There's an action menu for each contact because you can have more than one. If we scroll down here, you also have the speech balloon to compose an email for a secondary contact. Or the third option is anywhere you see an email address, you can click on that email address and it brings up the compose, the compose to whichever customer you want. Obviously, that goes whoever you click on. That's the 2. With the CC and the VCC, you can also CC users in Mago or additional contacts if you want to CC and VCC other people in there as well. So 3 different ways to do that. I'm going to jump back to the questions. Okay, Wayne, did you get that? Oh, awesome. Let me know what you think, Peter. Awesome. All right, I'm going to keep going. We've got a question on imports, contact forms. Fields won't stay in place when you move them. Jerry, tell me a little more about that. So when you're editing the when you're moving the fields in the contact form editor. And I'll jump back for a moment. Look at the form builder. If we create a sample form, so I'm assuming, and I'm just going to kind of peek back and forth here. Won't stay on the form. So are you talking about this drag and drop feature right here? Okay, that might be a browser issue. I mean, I certainly haven't. I certainly haven't run into any issue. You're on Firefox. Yes, Henrik, I'm going to go back to that because I'm going to cover the whole import process in a little more detail. That's kind of the big thing that I'm going to close with. So it's this piece you're struggling with. Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's take this offline. I'm going to make a note to circle back to that. Because it might be one of those things, unless this is happening to anybody else. We'll see if we can kind of track that down. We'll try to troubleshoot that. See, talk about the tags. So the tags are kind of a foundation for a bunch more features that are coming. Let me start answering that. The tags are a foundation for a bunch more features that are coming. One of the things that I'm actually reminded of that are is the mail blast feature in Showbiz CRM. I don't know if there are any people on the call who remember this. Showbiz CRM was kind of the what came from what paved the way for Mago. Basically, I built something years ago called Showbiz CRM, which had a lot of potential but had a lot of problems. And in the end, I made the decision to just burn it to the ground and salt the earth, and then move on to greener pastures and build this again. Yeah, I'm going to cover the import just at the end, but I want to get through a lot of the smaller questions, because the import's going to take some time. But I want to make sure I can get as many of these smaller questions before I dive into that. So where was I? The tags. So tags are basically ways of organizing your contacts. Right now, it's a good habit to get into for when you're creating a contact form. One of the features that you have available to you is, as these come in, to go ahead and apply some tags. Tags are just ways of kind of grouping these together. So maybe these are website leads. Maybe these are corporate clients that went to your corporate, or birthday clients if they come in from your. I'm typoing a lot, but if they're coming in through your birthday website. So these get applied, and then you can do mailings, you can do email blasts, you can kind of start to segment them up, and also look at revenue and things per tag. The email blast feature in Showbiz CRM was very very problematic. Yeah, Barry, don't worry. There'll be a replay available. So the email feature was very problematic in Showbiz CRM. So that's one of the features that are coming out very, very soon. The really nice thing about the way the tags work now is you can start to do a better way of you can better segment your clients now. So in Mago, when you're sending out an email blast, and this is a feature that's coming very, very soon, probably in the next approximately the next week. You can say, send an email to all my clients who have booked me in the last 12 months. Send an email maybe to everybody who's booked me but not in the last 12 months, or maybe all my warm leads, maybe all the people who have contacted me but never booked me. Or one of the really cool things you can start to do as well with the features that are rolling out very, very soon in tags is also running an automation routine against a tag, instead of a whole group of people, contacts or gigs, instead of just one at a time. So you can have you can run a whole drip marketing sequence on a whole segment of your marketing. So watch for more features to come around tags. But start applying those right now. Certainly, you can apply those automatically with the contact form as you're creating these. You can apply tags automatically with your leads. So if you're quoting a particular type of show, if you're quoting a trade show, create a step in there that will tag the contact, and we're going to call these, trade show clients. So you can start tagging clients as you're quoting. So now we have a step in there to tag the contact. Start, tagging these by hand as well. In fact, if we just go and look at a contact, we'll look at our elevator dude. If you click edit and scroll down, you can begin to type tags in here as well. So maybe this is business cards. And I'm just clicking a comma to kind of move forward here. Now you'll notice as I create tags, they start to become available. So I can start typing, and it will autocomplete for existing tags as well. This will help you keep things organized. But I'm going to save that out. So that's kind of that's the current status with tags, and a lot more to come. Now let's see. Creating the web contact form sheet, company address. The only fields are. I'll tell you what, Wayne. I will add that in there. One of the things that I tried to do when I was creating the contact form was when I looked at all the fields that were available in the system, I thought I didn't want to overwhelm you with all these fields that were potentially available. So I was a little bit parsimonious with what fields were there, thinking about, okay, what are the fields we're most likely going to need in a form? But I'll certainly add company address in there as well. The other thing that's coming very, very soon, that's I think is in the current release, it's coming, is the an ability to copy back and forth from company to contact and vice versa, and also from contact to the gig venue for a lot of private events. Wayne asked if you can add tags to a company. Not presently, but I built it so you could. There's not an interface to do that. But if there's demand, I'll certainly add that. I can see situations where I might not email a company, but I might group my companies together for prospecting and for physical mailing as well, or for cold calling, where maybe I don't have a contact yet, but this is a company that I want to do. All right, Andy, thanks for checking in. Enjoy the replay. Let me close this out. Currently, there's no way to add a tag to a client when originally created a contact. Bo, great suggestion. Yeah, I'll put that in that create pop-up there. So I've actually got an open to-do item for that. So I'll make sure that happens very soon. Probably again. I don't want to overpromise. I want to make sure that there's time to do all the different things that need to get done. But actively working on that, and hope to bring that in there soon. Approval action before sending out the automation of emails. Clinton, yeah, great question. We kind of covered this, but I'm going to go over this again just to kind of show you the possibilities there of the approval. So there's three things available at your disposal. One is before you run an automation, click preview. When you click preview, you get a list of all the steps, all organized. And when you have an email, it says send email to contact. This is the name of the email template it's going to use. When you click on that, it's not just going to pull this in. It's not just going to show you the template. It's actually going to do a merge, so you see exactly what it's going to look like before it sends. That's your first option. That's your first way to approve this right there. The second thing that you can do under the top right menu here, go into your profile, turn on the 30-minute delay while you're getting everything set up and while you're proving everything out. So when you run a routine, everything gets generated immediately, but that first email doesn't go out for 30 minutes. So you have time to go through the scheduled action field here where all the emails come in and preview them, edit them. You can even remove them, stop, and rerun them. That just gives you 30 minutes to have that peace of mind. The third option is just kind of while you're working it out, maybe while you're before you're ready to commit to full-on automation of a whole sequence. Instead of automating these, just click on the email and send them manually. Just pull an email template in, and it'll do the merge again. Everything's there, and you can see exactly what this is going to look like, and you can send it. You can schedule it to send out at a later date, so you don't necessarily need to dive into the automation. Right there, I can schedule this email. Let's say if we want to do 6 months out, March 31st at 2:30 p.m. Click send later, and if I refresh this, 3/31/17, that email is going to go out, and I can still go in there, remove it with this wastebasket icon. I can stop everything. I can edit it, whatever I want to do. So that's a feature both to let you start using the system right now, even if you haven't sat down, set together any automation. But it's also a way for you to kind of get comfortable with your templates being good. But yeah, and everything. All the emails that are scheduled, they're all in that scheduled actions area right there. So, one other feature that's coming by popular demand is a little widget on the dashboard that shows you just the emails that are gonna go out this coming week. So, you can actually just look at this, say, okay, what emails are going out right now? What emails are going out today or tomorrow? So in 6 months down the road, if an email's going to go out, there's an opportunity for it to kind of be back in your field of vision, so it's not entirely out of sight, out of mind. And then Karina, it is technically possible to give companies a tag, and if the feedback from y'all is that you want to do that, then certainly I can put that tag field in there as well. The way that the tags work, in fact, is I can link them to contacts. I can link them to companies. It's just a link to another ID. So certainly we can do that. Let's see, pretty basic stuff. Had an active lead change to an inactive. We got a comment in here as well. Show comment. Yes. Clinton nailed it. But basically, let me jump back. If you have an active lead that went inactive, they called you up and said, hey, we're not going to do it. Right on the dashboard. Let me jump back to the dashboard here. If you have an active lead, just the ... menu, the action menu, we call it, you can just mark this and convert it to inactive. You can still access all of your inactive leads right here on the main nav. We have active, inactive. You can also create a new one. But and also when you convert it up, you can the same way you can convert it from a gig to a lead, and from a lead to a gig, or convert it to be inactive. Let's see. Yes, Jonathan, great suggestion for title. Right now we're adding title, salutation, and job position. So title and position might be different. Your title might be professor. Your job position might be human resources director. So that's coming very soon. That's probably going to come the next 24 to 48 hours, because that's a pretty high priority item for other cultures where there are different ways of addressing somebody depending on what your relationship is. So that's coming very, very soon. We already have all of that in the database. It's just a case of updating the form now. In the contact, just to kind of talk about this, Jerry, to add notes, there are two ways to do this. Let me just make sure I'm on the screen share. Great. If we jump back to a contact, our elevator dude, there's two places to add notes. We have our notes here, which are just kind of general contact notes, maybe where we met, maybe some kind of like high level details about this person or the relationship, or but for the deep down nitty gritty notes about maybe past interactions, notes on meetings that we've had, more detailed notes, I can go in the history and add whatever additional notes that I want to do. In fact, I also use this log history item. I don't just use this for creating notes on my contacts, but also notes on the gigs. So I'll create a history item on a gig where I record my set list and I record particular interactions that were memorable. Because, you know, you do 200 shows in a year, you're not going to remember these memorable moments. But for your customers, that one thing that happened, you know, maybe you did the big dramatic thing and the exact moment the power cut out. I've had this happen. And actually a girl screamed when that happened. It was great. It was a great moment. You know, I remember that happening, but I couldn't tell you what the event was, who it was for, where it was, any of these details, because they all kind of run together. So I put these notes in the gig. And then when I talk to somebody in the future, maybe 2, 3, 4 years in the future, I can look and I can say, hey, remember when the power went out? And that woman freaked out. Wasn't that because it was a girl, it wasn't a woman, it was a teenage girl. And it was like a mentalism show, so it was perfect. I mean, I couldn't have planned that better. But you put those notes in there, and then when I talk to somebody 2, 3, 4 years later, they're gonna remember this. People remember great entertainment for decades, and so it just makes them. It kind of validates their experience when you remember too, even if you kind of cheated and used these history items. But absolutely. Those are the 2 ways to add a note. I have some contacts associated with 2 different companies. What's the best way to handle this? From Wayne, that's a good question. I'm going to think on that. I don't have a good answer. I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't have a good answer for that right now. Let's continue this conversation offline. I'm open to some of your suggestions on that. Let's see. My list of customized preset tags. So just to quickly answer this question about preset tags. It used to actually work that way. It used to work where you had a drop-down list and then you had to go somewhere else if you wanted to create one. But I really like the way that, you know, the way the tags are used in general around the internet. That it's just kind of a free-form thing that you can just go in here and start typing. It does have an autocomplete from your. I apologize if you can hear that. There's a fire truck going by outside. It does have an autocomplete, so as you start typing, these will pop up. But that doesn't help in terms of the preset list. One other thing that is available under contacts is you can get it under tags. You have a list of all your tags. You know, open to changing that, open to kind of rethinking, thinking a little bit differently about that. Talking about a secret Facebook group, I do like this idea. My only concern, the only thing that's slightly delaying this right now is I don't have the I personally don't have the resources to be in that many places, so I'm trying to keep the places that I kind of need to monitor for different things, for different support requests, to a minimum. But I really like that idea also, just because it's a great forum for you all to interact as well and kind of share ideas and share how you're using the system, because it's not just about having this tool, it's about kind of the community that comes with it, where we can talk about a lot of these things. So certainly, we'll start putting that together. My only request is that we don't turn it into a forum for support. Like if you find a bug, or if you find or you need specific help from me, Just because of the way I use social media, I try to minimize notifications and things from that. So I don't want to get into a situation where you're kind of out dangling, waiting for something. So yeah, let's bring this together. Let's put this out. I know a couple of users have actually put something together. So maybe we can just make that an official thing. So I'll send an update about that later on, maybe next week, and we can make that happen. After a routine, we got one more question here from Bo. After automation routine is in play with several contacts, and I add a future event to the routine later, will it update the context in the routine? No, by design, it will not do that. Otherwise, that could have all kinds of unexpected side effects and consequences there. So no, basically, once it runs, it's done its thing. As soon as it generates all the steps are in the queue. They're going to process off, but it's not going to add anything else after that. Okay, let's see. I'm just going to catch up on the chat here, and then we're going to talk about no, not in the contact form, on the contact form that's on the website. Okay, we'll look at that. Jared, I'll send you a link, and we'll do a screen share, and we'll just get that sorted out. Get you taken care of. So the last one is the last item here to talk about is the import. So the process that we do, we deploy new features. I'm gonna switch over here for a second. The process that we deploy new features is, or I say we, I mean that I deploy new features, is that royal we. It's a habit I think I got into, just talking about, oh, Michael or a member of his team will reach out to you. Yeah, it's just me booking the shows, but I'm chief cook and bottle washer. But the deployment process, I've been building software professionally for almost 2 decades, and there's just little things you learn. One of the most important lessons you learn is when to deploy software and when not to. And so we have this idea of a high availability period there, where you just don't want to deploy something and have it break and affect people. I've got a whole pipeline for the deployment process that runs through a lot of tests and things like that to try to catch any particular issue before it goes out. But the worst thing you could possibly do is to break something when everybody's using the system. And a lot of entertainers are doing shows Fridays and Saturdays. So I have a whole kind of moratorium around never doing an update on a Friday or a Saturday because if everything is stable, let's keep it stable. Let's make sure everybody can get all the information for their gigs, and then middle of the night on Sunday or Monday is usually a good time, depending on. And we actually have multiple servers, so we can stage the deployment out. But tonight, the import feature is going to go live, and I'm gonna show you a little bit about how this works. It's a little bit nuanced, but right on the top right, let me switch back to here. On the top right window, at some point tonight or tomorrow morning, depending on what time zone you're in, we're going to have one more menu item here for an import. You'll download an import template, and you can start to put your data into that and begin to and upload it back to run the import process. But let me talk you through the actual import, because unfortunately, data is going to come out in from different systems in different formats. Some are going to give you a CSV, some are going to give you but always the fields are going to be in different formats and different orders. So the first thing we've got to do is kind of get to a standard format, and I've done that with the spreadsheet that will actually download. Let me see. I'm going to see if I can switch my screen. Let's see. Well, let's Okay, try that. Stop sharing, and then I'm going to screen share again. And there we are, our import Excel spreadsheet. So let's zoom in on that. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this. Now, you're going to have the best results if you use Excel. And the reason for this is just to make your process as easy as possible. Excel has data validation features. And what that means is it checks what you're putting in here. For example, if I'm gonna go in here and enter an email address for a contact, this is a valid email address, and it will let me put that in. But if we just kind of put some kind of garbage in here, I got to turn the protection back on. We put the data validation there. I think this might be one of my, let me find one that actually has the validation. There we are. If we try to put something invalid in there, that's a bad example. All right then. Oh well, here's a better example, I guess. For an opt-out, the values can be yes or no. It's either an opt-out, it's either yes or a no. And so Excel will force you to, kind of get the data cleaned up before it goes to the server, and that's going to save you a lot of time because the server is going to go through everything. It's going to scan through all the records and find all the errors and say, here's all the things that are wrong with the data that we need to fix before we can import it. But if you're using Excel, it'll actually make sure that if it's a required value, then it's going to require you to do that. If it has a maximum length, and I think like postcode has a maximum length of something like 25 characters or something like that, something reasonable. But if you go over, it's 20 characters. It's not going to let you do that. Excel is actually going to help you get your data in a clean format from the get-go, so you can just upload it and go without without worrying about it. If you're using iWork numbers, it doesn't actually support that feature, so you're going to want to be a little bit careful with this. So essentially, the easiest way to do this, let's say you get an Excel export, and I want to make sure this is, okay, you're only seeing one of the screens here. So let me change this. Application window, there we go. So this is where you're getting the, it will require you, I don't know if you can see that pop up, that alert, maybe not, but it requires you to make sure the data is valid. Now, whenever you're getting data from a CSV or anything like that, the easiest way to do this, let's see if I can find one. See what kind of files we can find. All right. Well, this is a straight up mailing list that I got that I purchased at one point. So what I would do in this case, is I have my other CSV. I don't think you can see that just because I wonder if I can share the entire desktop. Let's see. Screen share, entire screen. This will be a little better. Now you'll see everything. Ooh, get to see infinity. All right, we'll jump back in here. So this is an actual mailing list of companies that I bought in 2008, apparently. These are entertainment companies. So in this particular case, I'm going to go in. These are companies. So I'm going to copy this whole column. I'm going to jump into companies here. And I'm going to just paste these all in here. So I've got all the company names. And I'll do this with, do we have websites? I don't know. I'll copy over whatever. Copy over whatever fields I want. So if I have a website, I can get that. I'm going to call these entertainment companies, and I'll just fill this down here. So whatever these look like. I'll copy over the phones and the things like that, and I'll populate this whole thing. Just importing one type of record is pretty straightforward. Where it gets tricky is if you're trying to, yeah, so we could get the address, copy all these over here. This would be address 1. Copy all these in here, the city. We could do this with the whole thing. Get this into the, basically we're mapping everything into the right format into the template that the system expects. And it's going to use these to import all these fields. Now importing, if we were just importing companies, that would be fine. If we were just importing contacts, that would be fine. If we were just importing gigs, that would be fine. But what makes Mago, and more broadly, what makes CRMs powerful is the ability to link different records together. And that's kind of the core thing. So a company or a gig, for example, has a link to a company that's related to, has a link to a contact that's related to. If we're going to import calls, we have to be able to link the calls. You know, we can enter the call subject, the call date time, the status, the call notes, and then we relate it to the record that it's going to relate to. Maybe we're going to relate it to a gig, maybe we're going to relate it to a contact, maybe we're going to relate it to a company, but it's building these relationships. And historically, with some of the early tests of the import process, this is where we ran into the most problems because, you know, how do we create these links? How do we look these up? Some people would just use the company name. At one point, we just used company name and gig name, and we just kind of assumed that name was going to be a fairly unique thing. But anybody who does school shows, for example, knows there are a lot of schools named Jackson Elementary School or Washington Elementary School or Lincoln Middle School. Schools named after, I mean, there's tens of thousands of schools named after former presidents. So we have to get a little more specific. So when we're creating these, and we're entering all this information into the template, we have to give it some kind of unique ID, some kind of reference. And every record that you're going to import has to have one of these. The easiest thing you can do, if you don't have one already, is to just generate some kind of, use the kind of autofill feature to use the fill down and just assign a number. This is just internal in the spreadsheet for the purposes of the insert. So when we go back in here and create a contact, we'll give a contact a unique ID as well, and the contact will get linked to a company. So these two contacts both link to the first company, and so on. And again, the Excel is going to enforce that validation. Numbers isn't. So this is probably going to be the tricky and time-consuming thing. Now, if you're exporting from another CRM, whether it's Daylight or Act or Zoho or another tool that you're using, a lot of times the export process is actually going to give you an ID already. So whatever it gives you, whether it's going to give you a number as part of the export, or it's going to have some of the relationships already set. So that's going to make it pretty easy for you. But there's a couple things where you're going to have to make sure that everything's in the right format. The company unique ID, if you're doing this in numbers or in another spreadsheet that doesn't support the data validation, you're going to have to make sure that all of these values are correct. They're mapped to the right thing. You'll see a preview before the import is done. The other thing is, I've got some examples in here of where we have yes/no answers. There are another couple very specific things for a gig. If you're importing gigs and leads, that these are the valid statuses: gig, lead, completed, or lost. A gig is an active is a booked gig. A lead is a pending event, and obviously, if you have a booked gig from the past, it's gonna implicitly become completed. If you have a lead that has a date in the past, it's going to implicitly become inactive. Completed is booked and in the past. Lost is gigs you didn't book, and they've passed. That basically won't ever happen. So a gig, you give it a name, you give it a status, you link it to the company. Am I not full screen? Let me switch back. Oh, geez. Sorry, guys. I can only look at one thing at a time, and there we go. There's our infinity. This is kind of, sorry. Let's switch back. All right. So in the status here, in the so the status, we have gig. Let me zoom in here as well. View, zoom. In the status, we have these are the valid statuses. It has to be one of those, and it's going to look specifically for one of those. For the company unique ID, again, these are values from the companies tab. Primary contact unique ID, secondary contact unique ID. Obviously, the secondary contact ID, as you can see, is optional. Lead sources, whatever you type in here, if it matches a lead source that's already in the system, then it's going to use that. But if you type a lead source that's not in there, it's just going to create that. A gig ID is just an internal identifier. It's something that you can set. It really doesn't mean anything. I would suggest all your dates be in this format. This is a universal format. The spreadsheet actually is already configured to take a date in whatever your local format is and save it as this unambiguous universal format. Showtime, again, use this format: hour, minute, AM, PM. It just makes it very easy to parse and very easy to use on a schedule. A lot of people type vague times in there, so they'll say they'll say 7 or afternoon or between 6 and 7, and but we need actual times and actual durations if you want to be able to see this properly on your calendar. Otherwise, we just have to guess when it is. A lot of these are just text. Some of them have to be numbers. For example, fees are numbers. Currency symbols are not needed, and they're not allowed. So if you put other symbols in here other than numbers and whatnot, then it will bounce that. Balance paid, deposit paid, these are yes, no. Gratuity received is an amount. So essentially, when you upload this, it's going to go through and process everything and look for any errors. You're going to get a list of all the errors, and along with the sheet and the row and the number. The couple really key things that I really have to talk about. So you want to make sure that these relationships kind of get set up right. So you have the links are correct. Otherwise, you're just not going to be able to do as much with your data. The other key things as well is these IDs only live for the duration of the import. So you want to get all of your data together for the import, because you won't be able to go and import more things that and link them later. The the import process, it's all linking in the spreadsheet, and then all these IDs that you create get turned into internal IDs inside of Mago. So I'm going to switch back so I can see the thing here. Okay, I got that. Yes, Jonathan. Just go in Safari. Yeah, we found actually Jonathan found an issue. If you're using, there's a bug in Safari in the way that Safari creates these web apps. If you're using the Mago Talent shortcut, it's great for quickly accessing gigs and things like that. But for whatever reason, there's a bug actually in the way that Apple implements these right now. So using the date picker causes the whole screen to refresh. Not sure why that is, but I've been using using it in Safari for a lot of these things, Jonathan, every day for six months, 5 months, something like that. Haven't had a problem, so you'll be in good shape. Anyway, that's the so, and anybody who's doing an import right now from a different CSV, as you're going through this process, mapping over the spreadsheets, if you have any issues, any questions, even if you just kind of want another pair of eyes as you're doing it, I'll send out I'll put the link in here for Calendly, and you can schedule a time, and we can kind of work on this together. Let me grab that link real quick. I'm really happy to help with whatever you need. I'm gonna put this in the chat. Use that link if you want to. Robert Carey. Huh? Use that link if you want to. If you want to go through some of the import process together, if you have any questions. But that link will be available tonight. I think that covers that. Yes, yes, thank you, Jonathan. Definitely want to keep it private, also because the nice thing about a private group like that is that we can actually kind of feel free to discuss our business in a confidential setting. We don't have to. We can just kind of be candid with each other among our peers, among our community, instead of in the broader world itself. So. We'll keep an eye on that. The biggest thing is I want to be able to bring in some moderators that aren't me, who can focus on keeping an eye on that without taking away from any of the cool things that are coming around the corner. So I'll let's see. We're at just under the 90-minute mark. Really happy. Everybody's had really good retention here. Any other questions before we wrap up? And I apologize for the split screen thing. I think I'll just turn that feature off on the next webinar next week. Give it just a couple more minutes for any more chat, any more questions. Oh, Bo's going. Okay, we've got some stuff. We got a little more coming. Thank you, everybody, for attending, for your time and attention, and for really kind of being on this journey. It's great. It was an unbelievably huge amount of work to build this. So just being able to interact with everybody as this has been going live has been. Oh, yeah, you're welcome, Jerry. Thank you for the suggestion. Oh, Clinton, no, I appreciate the text message. That's I needed that. Otherwise, because I can't see the chat. Yeah, just as this has been going live, just interacting with people and getting feedback, and both good and bad has been really rewarding, and I'm just grateful for the whole community that we have here. So Richard, the calendar link above, if you're in the process, as you're going through the import, if you're stuck, or if you have any questions, or if you just want another pair of eyes, we can do a screen share and just knock that out together, because imports, no matter what you're doing, they tend to be a pretty a potentially tricky thing. So just wanted to so I'm happy to help and give you some support there. Add a couple of custom fields to my business. No, that's there's no reason why not. The one thing you can do, just to answer this question really quick, one thing you can do, yeah, we can add some more custom fields in there. Happy to do that. The other thing, and I'm not even sure. I'll have to look again what fields we have in there, but you can also repurpose fields and rename them using the customization feature that we talked about earlier in the webinar. But yeah, we can add some custom fields in there. In fact, if you need, just send a ticket my way, and I'll make sure those get added. And with that, if there's nothing else, then we're going to be out of here in under 90 minutes, which is great. Really great questions. Thank you all for the great questions, and reach out to me. I'm here basically every day if you need me. All right, I'm going to sign off. Thank you all, and see you next time.